Welcome listeners. Once again, we are at Literary Goa, the program that looks at books and authors from Goa about Goa. Today we have with us Maria Desio Barreto, who has been teaching Portuguese for a long time, and she's come out with a book called Practical Portuguese Grammar, a complete guide for students and teachers. Mrs. Barreto, first of all, congrats, because I believe your book is almost sold out in...
It is sold out, yeah. The
in
first
1 year.
edition.
In 1 year.
The first edition is over. I'm going for the second edition now.
I see.
Yeah.
But anyway, to start the story at the beginning, tell us about your experiences as a Portuguese teacher. Since when, at what level? I know you also retired at the Goa University.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Well, I started long back in before 68 or somewhere.
Yeah.
Then I taught at Dempe College. In between, I got married.
BA.
I taught secondary. That was inter at that time.
Inter.
Inter arts and inter science. And then I BA.
Yeah.
And then I got married.
Yeah.
And went to Germany.
Yeah.
So I was away from the country for nearly 20 years.
I see.
So I lost my job. I lost all the career of teaching.
Yeah.
When I came back, there were no more vacancies.
Yeah.
And suddenly one friend of mine told me, Mauricio, there is one vacancy at Dempe College.
I see.
Would you be interested? It's on lecture basis. I said, fine.
Which year was this?
That was in 88.
88.
I said, fine. Of course, I live close to Dempe College.
Yeah.
So, but it's a lecture basis and they pay only 20 rupees per lecture.
I see.
I said, okay, I'll go for it. My husband said, you're going for 20 rupees and you're paying your maid more than that. I said, never mind. It is an opportunity that I have to use whatever I've learned during my lifetime. And so I started Dempe College. I loved it. And after that, I got an offer. I did an MA. I had MA in French. But the university would not accept it. They wanted 6 papers in Portuguese.
I see.
So I did again an MA in Portuguese with 6 papers. And I joined the department. After it was only some few years. After that, when I retired at 58.
Yeah.
Mr. Barika took us 2 years from the retirement age. So at 58, I retired. And then again was invited to teach at Instituto Camões.
I see.
Continued there till I retired till I found that I should give opportunity to the younger people, and I retired, and now I give courses at home, but only one-to-one, very, not many, so I don't want to get to be very tired.
Retired but not tired.
Retired but not tired, you're right, yes.
So you, in 1961, you were in school at that time?
Yeah, at that time I was in school. I was some 15 years at that time.
Yeah.
And it was a big change for us,
Very drastic, no? Overnight. You went to sleep speaking Portuguese and had to get up speaking English.
It was really traumatic.
Yeah.
I remember first, after we were given the equivalence from 7th year Lyceum, so it was given to Interarts.
Interarts.
So Interarts, we went there. It was totally a different system.
Yeah.
And our English was very basic, rudimentary, so very basic. And we went, there was a group of coming from Lyceum. And we were all together, one giving support to another. And we said, okay, we'll write down all that the lecturer says, so that we'll have the matter, and then we'll go over it. Everybody with a pen and the exercise book to write down. I remember exactly, it was the history class. And the lecturer
Who was the teacher?
One from Madras. So his English was a bit hard and he spoke very fast. So he started the lecture and he started blah 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 blah, and our pen was just there. We could not write a single word. So we said, well, I think that is we won't be able to get through this. And then we sat in the library, and in one chapter we had to read many times to understand the concept. And fortunately, the system is such that if you learn well and if you reproduce it, you get the marks. And that's how we manage.
Language can be a very difficult thing. It can be a stumbling block. It can be a passport to a better opportunity. So, of course, we'll talk about your days in Germany and Brazil later. But tell us about your book. What got you into doing it, and why do you feel the need for another Portuguese grammar when there are so many Portuguese grammars coming out from Portugal and Brazil?
I know, yeah. See, when I was teaching, normally I speak Portuguese in the classroom. But sometimes students understand, sometimes not. When there's required, I switch over to English. But when it comes to explaining grammar, I always use English because I've seen that when I use Portuguese, they don't understand it properly. And grammar, first you have to understand the explanation, then you can use it. And this continued forever. Then one day I thought, why not write a book with all the explanation in English and example in Portuguese?
You don't get these in Portugal?
I don't know. I have not seen here. But the books we receive from Portugal, they're all Portuguese.
I see.
So even there are some books written here also in Goa, also where they have used English. But I wanted to write a different one.
Okay.
And so it's an idea. I asked many of my colleagues in school, what do you think if I write? He said, it's a very good idea. Go ahead. So I did not start just like that. There are others who said, why one more grammar? You are a person from literature, write something about literature. Don't go for language. But I said, if I write language, there will be more people who will be benefited.
But you were right, because not only has your book sold out, but there are people who ask for it and they cannot get it.
I know.
I think you're going in for a reprinter.
I'm going for a reprinter. It will come in this year.
So in that sense, what does the book contain? Can you?
It is not only it's a book which has got 3 sections. So it's not only explanation of grammatical concepts. In the first part, I explain the grammatical concept. I follow the CCFR Common European Framework of language, and because they outline the portion that's for A1. This is for A1 and A2.
That's a certain grade, no?
Certain grade, starting at the basic and the intermediate level.
Okay.
So I'm not, for example, I'm not dealing here with conjunctive. Conjunctive is conjunctive. It doesn't exist in English.
Okay.
But not because that goes into B1.
Okay.
So I've not yet started doing B1. You know, as you see, publication is expensive. You know it for yourself. And I didn't have any sponsor.
True.
I did it on my own.
True.
And if I do the
there's a risk involved, no?
There's a risk involved. So I myself did not know whether I would be how the book would be received.
Yeah.
Whether it would be sold or I would be...
How many copies to print and whatever.
They were asking, go for 1,000. I said, no, my God, I don't go for 1,000. Let's go for minimum, that's 500. And in 500, I said, suppose I sell 100 copies. But they were sold just...
Very good.
Very good.
But 3 parts. Tell me about the 3 parts.
3 parts of section 3. First section, I speak about the grammatical concept. I explain everything in English. I give the example in Portuguese and give the translation in English of those examples. So they know exactly what they are doing. So if they want to write a sentence, I explain how to write a sentence, how to start, because greatest difficulty for our students is to write correctly. So if they use the system SVO, subject, verb, object, you get a correct sentence. So I give various examples of writing a sentence, and I go further with all the concepts of the CCFR. And the second section, I give the exercise, the grammatical exercise of the concept they have learned before.
Okay.
So they can practice. It's not only theory, but there is the practice. Then there is again, and then at the end, there is answer key. Yeah. So they solve. There's no need of teacher. They themselves can solve and see whether the exercises are correct with the answer key. And the third section, I've seen when I was teaching in the high secondary level, the students have a lot of difficulty in writing dialogues. And at the exam time, there was dialogue writing. And normally they scored very little in those dialogues.
I see.
So I give various situations for dialogue at the restaurant, at Tato, at Mosley, and all those asking and the soft food shop, various types of dialogue with the Goan flavor in that.
The interesting thing is that all these examples have a very strong Goan flavor. They all set in Goa.
All set in Goa, exactly.
So this is something the students could identify with.
And I don't give ready-made dialogues. I give sentences which can be used in the dialogue. If I give ready-made, they would just memorize and write. No, I give sentences, you frame, And if you want some sentences different from what you've been writing, here are the sentences. So I think that's also helping the students. And again, in the third section, I put another section of expressions used in day-to-day conversation. Like Merry Christmas, thank you, not thank you. Thank you is too easy. Yeah. But so some expressions which we use normally and we don't know that those are important. So those sentences also, the phrases are also included in the book, so they can.
So tell us about your own experience in migrating outside of Goa to Germany and Brazil, if I understand right.
It was, when you are young, you like to
see the world.
See the world, yeah. And I said, okay, let's go to. My husband was studying that time in Germany, and then he had just completed his course, and we went to Germany. Of course, I learned German.
You learned German.
I learned German.
You have a felicity with languages then.
Yeah, but then it's easier to learn a language when you are in a space where only that language is spoken. That's why some people ask me, why do you need grammar? What happens to the people who go to Bombay and then they learn, they are not there, they don't know anything about grammar, but they speak. Yes, you can do that. But you should live in a space where you are surrounded by people who speak that language.
And Germany, you have no choice.
No choice. But now, take it our example. I speak Cockney fluently.
Yeah.
I never went to school. I never learned Cockney. How did I? And then my Cockney is correct. But it's not an erudite Cockney. It's a day-to-day spoken Cockney. How did I learn it? Because the space was where everybody spoke Cockney. So I learned it that way. But if you want to leave, what about our students? They have only that 1 hour or 35 minutes of Portuguese. After that, they have no contact more with the language.
Of course, we'll come to that next. What is the best way to learn a language? But tell us about Germany and Brazil.
Yeah, okay.
Because I want to hear that story.
Yeah. No, Germany was nice. I taught there in a school.
Your husband was an engineer.
My husband is an engineer. Yeah, but we were both young, and he was just starting. And
which part of Germany?
We went to Düsseldorf. Yeah. And of course, I learned mostly German from the TV.
I see.
So sometimes my expressions was TV expressions,
I see.
Say, come on, say it. I used to say, she's and the lows, when the cowboy and all they do.
Okay.
So those expressions, so the people used to laugh, it was just say.
I see.
But then they was also quite happy that I could manage to communicate myself, of course, with the dictionary. I used to go shopping, always with the dictionary in my hand.
Germany is 98% German. Like
98%. No English, nothing. Only German. So
people get shocked when they go there for
exactly.
the first
So
time,
you are forced to. And then after time I also worked in some companies.
I see.
As a correspondent where you required German and English.
I see.
So I managed.
Made use of your other skills.
Others English.
And then you all shifted to Brazil in which year?
Yeah, that was in 75.
75. Both your kids are born there?
No, one is in Germany. The other one is born in Brazil.
International family.
International family. When I go have 3-4 passports, different passports, they start looking at me. How come this lady has got this?
So then in Brazil, your husband was again working in engineering?
Yeah, because he was sent. It was a team that was sent from Germany to Brazil.
This is the car manufacturers? Or?
No, it is a steel manufacturer. Yeah.
Which one?
Mannesmann. So we went to Belo Horizonte.
Yeah, in the north.
In the central. That triangle.
Yeah.
Rio, São Paulo, Belo.
I see.
Yeah. So we went to Belo Horizonte, and of course he was chosen because of the language also, because he speaks Portuguese.
I see.
And then German, of course, he studied in Germany, and he was one of the persons who was in that team. And he worked there for some years, and after that we moved to São Paulo.
I see.
And I loved Brazil, It made me feel
at home.
Yeah, feel like at home. And after his contract was for 3 years, and said you can go back to Germany. I said no. Why should we go to Germany? Let's stay here.
Climate is good, and the language is good, and the people are friendly.
Food is very nice, Yeah. So we continued, and maybe that was a mistake because after some time, inflation was so high.
This is in the 80s.
80s, yeah. So it was so high that per day they also come with that changing the
currency,
the price. What
stickers.
was it? Yeah, stickers. What was in the morning, it was not the same thing in the evening. It took every whole day. So then we thought, well, we have to decide. Either we stay here and we'll have so many cruzados at that time for few dollars. Or we come back to Goa and look after our things and put this thing or done. And if you want, we can come back.
Yeah.
So I had some property issues. So I said within 2 years I'll be able to settle the issue, and we can go back to Brazil.
But life has its own logic, and
the judicial system has its own logic. It took 25 years, and still it's not over.
My goodness.
So that's what it is. So we never went back. Of course, we went as a tourist later, but we never went back to Brazil.
So the point I get from your story is that language can also be an asset.
Yeah, it is an asset. It is an asset. You never know when you can use. I'll give you another example. My son did his engineering here in KRC, Suratkal. So he finished engineering, was working for some company, and suddenly, what is that company that I now fails from Hyderabad that now it's no more there. Satyam. Satyam wanted somebody to open their shop in Brazil.
I see.
They were looking everywhere. There should be somebody with Brazilian nationality. Only Brazilians can open.
I see.
And they did not get. So I gave a course at the university for Satyam Guru engineers.
Yeah.
So they came to the university, and the university arranged, and I was one of the persons who gave that course. And in that, they were saying, see, we are looking for somebody with a Portuguese Brazilian passport.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence. And then, I don't know, that's good, but it's destiny.
Yeah.
He was born in Brazil and he went back to Brazil.
I see.
And then he was chosen and he was sent there to open their company there.
I see.
And unfortunately, after some years, the company was
Satyam
closed.
folded up.
Satyam, yeah. But
it's a great opportunity, I think, and in today's world, do enough Goans see language as a passport to a better future?
Yes, of course.
Including Portuguese?
Portuguese is one of the 6 most spoken language. Yeah. So most of the students from the Goa University who do the MA, pass the MA, they don't stay here in Goa. We have got lack of teachers.
I see.
Yeah, they don't stay for it's because its payment is very, very small. Yeah. They go for companies where they start only with 50,000 and so on, So why should they teach? If you had a son or daughter, I would also do the same thing. So they do their post-graduation and immediately absorbed in the corporate world.
Another point that has come out is that many of the students in Goa are actually from Delhi University or North India, and they understand the importance of learning this language more than we do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We don't, maybe because we are cast as Portuguese, everybody knows, como está, they think they know Portuguese. And they don't give that much, but they will go for German, they will go for French, they forget that Portuguese is so important because all our documentation is in Portuguese.
History is in Portuguese.
Everything is Portuguese. Yeah, they forget that. And besides, you have got opportunity to join the corporate world because of Portuguese,
They're always advertising for people knowing the Portuguese skills.
I know one company that came here looking for engineers with Portuguese, and I was one of the person invited to interview the thing. Can you imagine? There was only one person. They wanted somebody to send to Brazil.
I see.
And no Goans were there.
I see.
And there was one who was outsider, not a Goan, and he was chosen and he was sent to Brazil.
They take the language very seriously, no?
Whatever they do, they put in effort and hard work.
Yeah.
That's anybody can learn the language. Sometimes they go and say, but I don't know Portuguese. I said, thank God you don't know. Why? Because you then learned wrong. Yeah. And to make you to speak correctly is a headache, and you never do it because it's already ingrained in your system.
Yeah.
So, but the I call it outsiders, but people from the other state, when they come, they take it as a new language. Seriously, and they learn it. They go, they study, because they have their job in mind.
But over the years, Mrs. Barreto, how has the learning of Portuguese and attitudes towards Portuguese among young students changed in Goa? Because we know in 61 there was this break suddenly, and then there was bad relations till 74 or whenever.
Exactly.
And after that things changed, but they changed slowly. So even
you have to, because most of the students who would take Portuguese, they start taking French. And there was still against, especially in the politically this thing, they were against Portugal. So parents prefer to go send their children to French.
Now it's changing.
Now it's changing very much. Changing very much. We have now there are nearly 20 schools where they are teaching
It's taught.
Portuguese.
It's taught.
There are more than 800 students
I see.
for Portuguese, taking Portuguese.
Right up to the MA level, it's also available as
available up to the MA level. There's only Goa University is the only university where
in India
where there is a post graduation in Portuguese.
Maybe in Asia also.
In Asia, I don't know why China has got, because
I
when
see.
I went to Macau for a course, there was somebody from Beijing.
I see.
Maybe they have
Really?
yeah.
They are smart about because not only Portugal, I think it's also a link language to Brazil, Angola, Mozambique,
And see
which are huge markets.
See what China has done to Angola. All the workers, all the development in Angola is done by the Chinese.
And they speak Portuguese?
They must have spoken because
Okay.
because in Macau there is no space place for most students.
I see.
It's full always.
I see. Full?
And I think why not India? Why
Correct.
could Indians go to
Correct.
Angola, to Mozambique and help in developing their
Yeah.
country? There would be jobs, there would be money, there would be everything.
That's true.
But we have got a political still that
Reluctance.
reluctant to go to a country where
Yeah.
English is, they prefer to go where English is spoken.
English is too dominant here, and
Yeah, I
also we have that resistance, as you were saying, to go beyond the comfort zone.
Yeah, exactly. Beyond.
Yeah.
And we don't like to leave Goa.
Yeah.
That's how, even
Big
my
point.
son saw when sometimes he works in Bangalore and he says, I'm fed up with the vegetarian, I'm fed up with this, fed up with that. I said, there are thousands of people working there, and he doesn't know the moment he will come back to Goa. If he
Yeah.
could stay forever in Goa, he would.
We like a home state, and
Home
that
state,
is
yeah.
that is a weakness of sort.
That is
and then when we go, we don't come back. So that's another weakness.
another
so.
weakness, yeah.
Anyway, but as far as teaching kids goes, what's your experience with Goa today, teaching kids in Portuguese?
I think there's much more interest now than there was
Than ever before.
Yeah. But one thing is teaching at the school level. The other thing is teaching in the courses. When I taught at Camões, the interest was much more because they were coming because they wanted to learn.
Of their own wish.
Or their own wish. Whereas in school, this one of the languages, they do it just to get the passing marks, and that's over. But of course, there are some students who are very dedicated and they score 96, 98 even.
Wow.
So all that, yeah. But when you go, even when I at home and I give the course, mine are always one-to-one courses. I can see that I really appreciate the work they put on, and they learn it. They speak. They come out from the speaking the language.
What is your view on this perspective that the Portuguese language in India, in Goa today, is not of the same caliber, of the same standard as it was, say, in 361?
Definitely. Because
That's
what
right.
happens? Say for some people my age, we all spoke Portuguese.
Yeah.
From childhood, we spoke Portuguese.
As the first language.
First language, Konkani and Portuguese were our two languages. Now, English was never
Nowhere
there.
on the scene.
The English was nowhere. In Konkani and Portuguese. And for us, it was easy to do the secondary school in Portuguese, and most of the time we used to go. People used to go to Portugal to do the higher studies because here there were not many higher education. And what happens now? Portuguese will come at the same level of French, because the French teachers don't speak French.
Okay.
So now the new generation, Portuguese teachers will not speak Portuguese.
Okay.
They will teach through English. They will ask them to translate. They will learn the language, but not the language with that fluency that we used to have, because they themselves
it's not imbibed into it. Yeah.
And they are not, teachers themselves are not fluent in language.
Yeah.
Because they came through English medium, they learned it as second language, whereas we learn in the first language as a medium of instruction. So there's a big difference. So the level will come down. It's expected.
Yeah.
And we have to accept it, because after all, it's a second language. It's not the first language. Second, sometimes third language.
True. Yes. What is your advice to youngsters wanting to learn Portuguese? How long will it take them? What should be their effort? How many hours a day?
At the school level, I don't think that will be much improvement, because what they are not interested in language. What they want is maths, physics, chemistry. That
PCM.
PCM. So the PCM is more important. This is side business.
Yeah.
So if they get the passing marks, they are happy. But there are students who work, do well in the PCM, and also are very keen in learning the language. But there's a very few.
Yeah.
Majority they get the papers are not that difficult, because if we are competing also with Sanskrit.
Yeah. Which is easy to subject easy to score in.
Easy to score. They just
Yeah.
tell you, if you don't understand this, write the answer in English.
Okay.
So that's much easier. So what they want is to have good marks, so that they have the total score higher. So I don't think that it will improve. But there will be many more who, after doing their schooling, they will come back for language.
Yeah.
They will see the importance of the language later, but not now at this school level.
And how long would it take to learn the language if you're really serious about it?
I tell you I had a student from, I won't tell the name.
Yeah.
She finished this book in 15 days.
I see.
Because she had a target. She wanted to go to Portugal and start working there.
I see.
Of course, she knows French. It helped her.
Yeah.
It was easy. But before I did one unit, she used to do the unit at home.
I see.
Maybe even wrong. And then second day come and
revision.
We will see what is wrong. In that way, in 15 days she finished one book.
See.
And then he came out from there speaking Portuguese fluently. Now she's in Portugal. She started working in hotel management, and that's a good example. Another example is I had another student who is from Gujarat. Has nothing to do with Portuguese. This girl knew French, parents speak Portuguese, whereas the Gujarati girl has absolutely no link with it. And she did 3 levels with me.
I see.
And today she's fluent. She does it. A young girl, smart. So,
do women have a slight advantage when it comes to learning languages?
Could be, yeah.
It looks like.
It looks like, yeah.
So on this positive note, we really congratulate you for this book. Looking forward to more such work, and wishing you all the best, and thanking you, of course, for taking your time and coming here and sharing your views, which I think is a very important language, even though at Goa we don't recognize it fully at this point. I'm sure one day in the future it will find its potential.
Yes, I hope so. Yeah. Thank you so much for everything. Yeah, thank you too. Yeah.